I want to thank you for being here for this weekend devotional. I was reminded this morning as I was reading through Facebook. I had a friend, an acquaintance who uh, looks at life and is seeing this summer as being one that is very difficult. And I would have to agree, it has been a difficult year. It's been a difficult time. It's been a difficult period in life, seems like. But I believe that over the past several years, that either we have been trained by ourselves or by others to uh, spend a great deal of time looking at the negative, looking at the things that are difficult, looking at the things that are hard to bear with. And yes, we have had some difficult things. I began looking back as I was young, when I was young, thinking about the things that my parents went through and those who were my age now, thinking about the world and where it was and what was happening. And yet, if I remember as much as I can, there were people who were very uh, willing to deal with those things, to look at those hard things and say things will be all right. But I think every generation goes through a situation where they begin seeing the negative things, they begin hearing the negative things. It is something that is very human to see those hard things, to see the difficult things, to see the things that bring turmoil and hurt and pain and discomfort. But when we begin to dwell upon them, it seems that all things are difficult and hard and overbearing. And I begin looking at myself and saying, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know why we even try. I want to suggest this morning that we spend a great deal of time in this situation to the point that Satan begins to take over. He begins to make us or help us to see those bad things. He begins to convince us somehow or another through the world, through others, through the situation, through our own minds talking to ourselves. And we began to give up and we began to see ourselves without hope, without enjoyment of life. This one was talking about raising children. It's difficult. I spent most of my life, my grown up life, working with children. It's difficult. And if we think it's difficult for us, it's more difficult for them. We need to be able to show them that there is a way to deal with these things. Quit looking, quit depending on Satan. Psalms, the 34th chapter. In verse 8, he says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Oh, fear the Lord, your saints, for those who fear him have no lack. The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing." Even with a world full of pain and difficulty and heartaches and situations that we don't understand, we have the ability to go and lean upon Him, seeking Him, so remaining in His Word, knowing that there is something more there for us to get a hold of. In Jeremiah 29, we find this group of people, of Israelites, that he's talking about them have, they would have been in Babylon. They would have been under submission to the Babylonians, these Israelites. And God tells them, I'll bring you back. I'll bring you back into God. I'll bring you back, those who are remnant. I'll bring you back to Jerusalem. In verse 11, he said, for I know, or in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, he said, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans were for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your hearts. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and the places where I have driven you, declares the Lord. But he said this idea of stop dwelling on the evil, stop dwelling on those things that are negative, stop dwelling on those situations that cause things to become worse. We let Satan take us further and further away. He said, I want you to have life. I want you to have life more abundantly. But the only way that we can have that is to seek God. To seek God. To know that He is there for us. To know that He is there and will care for us as His children. We must be giving ourselves over to God. Just as these Israelites, they had to give themselves over to God. Just as the psalmist said, to look and see that God is good. You see, mankind needs hope, and hope is not in the world. Hope is not in all the things that we can do. Hope is not in all the situations being good. Life is difficult. Life is hard. In James 4, he comes around to this point and he says, in verse 7, submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. We have to push him aside. That self-talk that convinces us things are all bad, things are difficult. Yes, it's been a hard summer, I agree. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard 2 years. Things look bleak. And we could take those things and we could make them alive. He said, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you. You see, we need to seek God. We need to seek his word. We need to strive to live within God's plan. We're letting Satan take over. Even though times are hard, even though times are difficult, if we look to God, he's there. It's so difficult for the human to stop looking at human things and start looking to the things of God. But when he does, he finds that there is hope. He finds there is good. He finds all positive things happening in life. And we need to sit down. Maybe we need to sit down. I used to have a man tell me, sit down and write the good things that are happening in your life. Write the good things that are happening in your life. And realize that they're there. If I seek God, if I seek God, if I seek his word, I can begin to see and live in those good things. I hope that you'll take those thoughts with you today. I know that this world has been a tough situation for each of us over the last several years. And I know that if we look hard at what's going to happen in the future, we become overly worried about things that we don't know anything about yet. Look to God. Seek him. Seek his word. Seek to take that word to those around you so that they might also be lifted up. I hope you can find some encouragement in this thought today, that you might be willing to look to God, that you might be able to be willing to seek his word and seek a life in him. and find that goodness in life. I want to thank you for being here today, and may God bless.